Greetings and salutations, gamers. Welcome to Cast Co-op, the podcast in which three podcast hosts cast together. I am one of your hosts, Luke Lore, the Insipid Ghost, and host of the Xbox Expansion Pass, welcoming you to 2022, here with Mr. Ainsley Bowden, host of the Bitcast of Season Gaming. My big brother and yours, how are you, sir?
I have two things to say, boys. First of all, I miss you guys. We talk every day, but I miss you in this format.
Yeah,
agreed. And two, we have a lot to unpack tonight,
yes,
boys.
We do.
I am ready.
Go. Yes. Oh man.
Apparently, that's becoming my catchphrase, and I'm okay with it. I'm fine with it.
You can put it on a shirt; it'll fit.
Yeah. You could. Gosh, they changed the sniper physics just a little bit in Halo. Well, there's a lot to unpack, and then he just goes.
If they changed the sniper physics in Halo, there would be a lot to unpack.
They changed the sniper physics in Fortnite.
Oh,
no one cares about that.
And like the scope's a little weird, but
yeah, and it does this little curve dip. It's weird. The Coriolis effect.
Did you see what this is? What you get here, Cass? I got made fun of for sniper physics in Halo as a joke, and Luke then takes seriously the sniper physics in Fortnite.
Yeah,
Joe brought it up, and
that's the difference. Yeah, but Joe brought it up kind of jokingly. You added to it.
Oh no, I carried him 6 times in Fortnite last night in a row.
Backpacked me. That's right. That's right. He did.
That also does not surprise me much at all.
I'm not good at games anymore. I've accepted it. It's fine. I did rock some attrition in Halo earlier. But let's introduce our third. It's very good. It's very good.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Let's introduce our other co-host.
He's a PlayStation guy. He's not even here.
He's having a rough week. It's only Tuesday. Host of the Trophy Room, a PlayStation podcast, Mr. Joseph Moran, aka Mr. Badbit, looking fresh, my friend.
Really? You don't like? I decided to shave the head.
It looks good. It looks. I'm okay.
The way Ains is saying it sounds sarcastic.
No, you look good. You look sharp, buddy.
Good. All right, good. I'm happy to be here today.
Yeah.
PlayStation's in morning, so you know where to find me. Let's just talk about the reason why I started drinking at 9 a.m. today. How about that?
You were the wet blanket of the morning. It was the best.
Yeah. No, you know what? And we'll get into it. It's what you said while we were playing Halo earlier. It was actually what got me out of the funk. I'm like, you know what? Everything's going to be all right. And that's when I took the noose off my neck and I was fine. And Luke's artifacting. Look at this.
And Luke is, dealing with that internet. All right. Well, Joe.
Normal show.
Now we can have a real conversation. I mean.
Yeah. It's always so weird because it's like before we record, it's fine. Like, it's absolutely okay.
Yeah. Sometimes we talk too long before we start recording. Mm-hmm. Then as soon as we start recording, it's like, there we go.
Oh, I got to restart my modem. Oh, goodness. All right. Anyway. You know what, Ains? Let's just do this. There's a lot to unpack here.
There's a lot.
This morning, I woke up to some news. And probably, honest to God, I think the biggest news ever, like,
I told my wife today, I said, I know I say this a lot, but the biggest news ever. And I told her, like, literally ever in the gaming industry just happened today. And she's like, I hear that all the time. I'm like, no, but literally, like.
But this is it.
Oh, look, who's back?
Oh, hey, Luke, what's up? We literally were doing the show without you. Would you like to talk about what was the biggest story possibly ever that just happened?
Yeah, I ran out of Dr. Squatch Halo soap, and I'm really upset about it.
God, he sucks, guys. I am so sorry as the host.
I don't know what to do.
We didn't stop, right? We're still going? We're still rocking?
Yeah, no, we're still going.
Okay, cool.
We're hosts. We know how to do this.
We all woke up to the biggest news. Joe and I were just saying, is this the biggest news to just pretty much ever drop in the gaming industry? And I was having trouble thinking of anything that would top it.
The only thing I can think of is Sega going third party. Sega going third party was probably big for the time comparatively.
Don't remind me of those dark days.
Yeah, well, I mean, the scale is not even close to the same in terms of news.
Yeah.
Maybe that was probably it.
Funny enough, Microsoft entering the gaming space with the Xbox.
That's right.
Was
huge
be news.
That's true.
But instead, we got Xbox buying Activision
for $69.7 billion.
We're rounding up.
We're rounding up. Nice. That's nice.
You're the one on watch, Joe. You're supposed to watch yourself right now. Careful.
That's true.
That one's that one's not cancelable. That's not a cancelable.
Yeah, you can't cancel for that one. You can't cancel.
Oh, okay. So there's a line.
He shaved his head, everyone.
That's right. Makes you think.
Makes you think. That's right. So yeah, $68.7 billion. This is the biggest news in gaming for sure for Microsoft to acquire Activision. I didn't see this coming. I know several of us did preview 2022 shows. I don't think any of us had anything of this caliber in our lineups for sure. I was taken aback. I did the double take, the triple take. I had to read it a few times. Like, no, this is a rumor. No way. Only to be proven that it was in fact real. And Microsoft themselves put out once they put out like a press release, like boom, right on the dot. I was like, wow, this is the real deal, boys. This is the real deal.
Yeah. We were joking before the show that for once I decided to sleep in a little later, and it was the day that this happened. So I woke up, came downstairs, saw this, did the same thing, thought someone was joking, and all of a sudden realized it was real, and my mind started processing it. I mean, the Bethesda deal was, a $7 billion deal, which at the time seemed almost unbelievable. And it's still being talked about 2 years later. And this morning they just spent 10 times that, or whenever the deal actually goes through, which I think is like summer of next year officially if it closes. But do you remember just a few months ago when it was acquisition season?
Yes.
And we were all talking about who Xbox may acquire next, and someone said Take-Two, and we all kind of laughed. And I think we laughed because the prospect of them spending 20 to 25 billion after Bethesda seemingly was huge at 7 billion seemed a little crazy. Like, technically they could do that. Of course, they have the money to easily, but that seems pretty wild. And they literally this morning announced the acquisition of the biggest gaming publisher that is not Tencent, Sony, or Xbox, basically, in the world. That has 400 million monthly active users, which is just it doesn't really make any sense. I'm still trying to wrap my mind around it.
It makes perfect sense. When I saw that news, it made perfect sense because the tweet that I mistyped
like you're on a roll today.
Listen, man, dyslexia is a thing.
I got a kick out of it because I was like, I wonder if Ains knows Joe's dyslexic. And
I thought you were joking. Are you being serious?
Yeah. But when I got your tweet of like, listen, either get rid of spell check or add spell check, whatever it is you need to do it. I'm like, that is the best burn I've ever had on my behalf.
I had no idea you were actually. That's funny.
We were mid attrition match, and I'm pretty sure Joe died right then and there. He needed a revive because that was when he just goofed out laughing.
Oh god, It was hilarious. So anyway. The thing that's happening now, or why it makes so much sense is, it works for what Microsoft's trying to achieve. And I think one of the biggest things is Blizzard. Blizzard alone is that legendary PC publisher of old. And we'd love to see it come back to its original state in terms of the quality IPs. But you got your StarCrafts, your Diablos, your Overwatches, your Warcrafts. And that makes sense right there of going, this is
listed are IPs, not studios. And that's interesting that we're talking about that differently than Bethesda. So go ahead.
Yeah. And to add to Bethesda's fallout in Elder Scrolls, that's a really attractive PC offering right there. Just to say, hey, all this is $15. And think about all the add-ons that you could put in, bonus monthly skins, bonus subscription services to World of Warcraft right there. So there's just a lot of possibilities with the Blizzard acquisition alone. And then you got the King Mobile stuff, right? Where you see all these developers, publishers starting to make their own mobile divisions. Well, now Microsoft doesn't need to do that. They literally have it, and all the synergy that they can pull between companies and IP that they could rip from, endless amount of money that they can make. And then you got Activision, and that has Call of Duty, and that's everything. And everything that we've talked about right here is actual owned, non-rented IP. The problem with WB is all those studios, as amazing and talented as they are tied with IP that wouldn't belong to Microsoft. And so
that's the one I wanted was WB, because they run the IPs that I want. But active and dormant IP for Activision is the name of the game. Mascot platformers, they got them. Shooters, they've got them in spades across multiple genres of shooter. To your point, they've got all those PC games. They checked a lot of boxes today. They also picked up a lot of baggage. A lot of baggage. And a lot of those double takes that we were all doing this morning, I think were very justified, because it's like, all right, you got this treasure trove of studios and IP. I mean, Treyarch, Raven, High Moon, Beanox, Sledgehammer, Infinity Ward, Toys for Bob, which is one I'm quietly really excited about, and I think one's called Demonware, which I'm unfamiliar with. Maybe that's Candy Crush, but either way, like, those are great studios. But for all that, you're getting a lot of baggage and toxicity in leadership that has already begun the clearing out, but has so much more to do. You gotta clear out a lot of infection before those are gonna heal, I would think.
Yeah, I would think that. So it's funny because we're kind of jump around. We may want to figure out what direction, because there's so much to unpack from this.
Pick a direction and take us there, Ains. Yeah, for real.
Well, I was going to respond directly to you about the baggage. So I was thinking about that too. It feels like, one, we know that this deal would obviously be many, many months in the making, well into last year, early last year, of starting to talk about this. So obviously, the funny thing to think about now is everything unfolded, bringing the issues with Activision leadership to the forefront over the last few months. Microsoft was already in the middle of making this deal. You know what I mean? They're already, so as they're making this deal behind the scenes and no one knows, all the stuff about Bobby Kotick and senior leadership over there is coming out. So they're obviously extremely well aware of what's going on here. And as with any deal like this, there is a clause that allows Microsoft to back out of it, should they, before it closes. I think I saw someone say it would cost them about $3 billion, but that's pocket change to Microsoft. So I agree with you. It came out today that Bobby Kotick will be gone basically when this closes next year. But as I think we talked about here before, there's a lot of other people at Activision other than Bobby Kotick in senior leadership that need dealing with, for lack of a better phrase. So I think Microsoft is more than capable, between Phil Spencer and Satya Nadella and the entire leadership team at Xbox, to deal with getting rid of these kind of toxic individuals. Now, the one thing I just want to caution people of is that we'll never see it, but let's also realize that, yes, Activision and Kotick are terrible, and there's a lot of terrible things go on there. There's things like that go on at a lot of these major companies. So as well as Microsoft has kind of plotted out their vision, and as strong as their leadership is, and I'm confident that they're going to do right here, that could take a long time, and it's going to be a work in progress probably for a very long time.
I was heartened to see all the Microsoft employees this morning, people of color, multiple genders being identified, gender preferences, every type of marginalized voice speaking up this morning in support and welcoming their new Activision employees, was the verbiage they used, right? Of course, it'll take time. Yep. But in that welcoming tone, I was encouraged to see that if so many of these traditionally marginalized voices in spaces where they become even more marginalized are willing to speak out publicly and say welcome, that bodes well for the culture they've got at Microsoft across their studios. That was a good sign. My favorite was Sadie Boyds, who directly called out Bobby Kotick in her tweet as she welcomed future, coworkers. That was a cool vibe to see. And I don't feel like that energy is going to go away. But Joe, I joked with you. You were the wet blanket of the morning. In terms of just this baggage they're picking up, where are you thinking here? I see what Ains the reflection is in your SG thing. And I totally see the leadership team.
I'm sorry. I'm trying to actually
put the porn away, Ains. You animal.
I'm trying to pull up, because I was fortunate enough to actually get the press kit about the announcement.
Yeah, that was meaty, wasn't it?
Yeah, so there's there's a lot to it. So I was gonna try and pull up some of these images.
You were unpacking it. You were unpacking it.
I'll forward it to you. I'll
save it to the stream.
No, I was a bit of a wet blanket this morning because there was something that just put me off. And it's not just like, I'm a PlayStation guy, whatever. Because I, honest to God, real talk, get a little imposter syndrome about that because I'm not really, I get it, I run a PlayStation podcast, but I'm really like, you put a controller in my hand, I'm going to play it. I own all of them.
Oh, yeah.
Whatever happens to any of them doesn't really concern me, right? Mm-hmm. So, though having a preference towards PlayStation, it does suck knowing, Overwatch 2, well, that's probably not going to happen here. Right? Like Diablo 4, that was probably the one that I would be the most bummed about. That's probably the Xbox exclusive now. But like when it comes to Call of Duty, I'm just like, I don't play it anymore, right? So like I don't really mess with any of these IP. But it was a concerning side with my, hippie feel the burnness from time to time. It's just like, well, here's another big corporation gobbling up another big corporation, and we're being told this is good, and who knows at the end of the day is usually where my mindset goes because it's filled with doubt. But I was like, no, that's not really it because, whatever I'll play, like Diablo, I'll probably end up playing on the Xbox, so it's fine. What's the real thing that's bugging me? And I think the thing that was bugging me the most was Bobby Kotick. Not just because he has a punchable face, and not just because he was friends with Jeff Epstein, but the fact that we have this guy who is an utter piece of shit and hated amongst just industry devs and folks like us, who has been publicly outed as this person that has defended, literally saved the jobs of people that have literally raped. And it's disgusting. And knowing that, Phil Spencer talked a really big talk back in like November or December. But what I felt like in my feelings was, well, he was talking a talk, but he wasn't really walking that walk. When I'm like, oh, so when you mean analyze your relationship, you mean you're just going to buy his company, and he's just going to be making a fuck ton of money. And so to me, I'm just like, that's not a good feeling. That's not a good feeling because it's like, the rich are getting richer and the poor are getting poorer, and that bums me out. But I think what you said, Luke, is like, no matter what the solution is, whether we got him to resign or whether he is going to just probably retire, he's still going to make a boatload of cash. And even if he wasn't, he's still, got all the mansions and a yacht that, makes Joe Manchin jealous. So like, to me, it doesn't feel great that this is how we got him out, but at least he will be leaving soon, and hopefully those people can start healing. And with what has been and what we've seen, a really diverse group of corporate leaders at Xbox and Microsoft kind of, welcoming them is a nice sign. But it's just that didn't feel right to me in the beginning.
Well, I think you're justified in not feeling right because it does feel gross. It is not comforting, but the aspect that I suppose I take comfort in the routine of it is that gross, awful human beings are almost always getting golden parachutes in a corporate world. And at the very least, he will no longer be able to affect our medium in the ways that he has been allowed to affect it. No work work is not done when Bobby leaves and whatnot. And it's awful that he gets that money. And that's just more proof that the world is not fair. However, I'm taking the win where I can get it because the potentials are so bright. But I have to think that legal action is being taken on a number of levels well beyond what we're aware of that put some of that stuff for him in jeopardy, given what is allowed and not allowed. I have to hope that that's the case.
Yeah.
And my hope is that third-party independent investigators are looking into him and making sure that his behaviors aren't being replicated and aren't being continued just because of him being in the spotlight. Because it doesn't seem like he's a guy that cares about that.
Yeah. And that was really, and I really want that to echo. That's really the thing that I was the most bummed out about, or the most that I was concerned about. Again, like we'll talk about the implications of PlayStation in a bit, but like that was really where my heart was.
And just to be clear, right? Like the sad fact is it's just a matter of fact that he's going to golden parachute no matter what happens here, unless obviously some type of criminal case or civil case is brought towards him. But that's separate of the news today, because even if he had resigned, let's say the workers and striking and everything were successful and he actually stepped down, say 2 months ago, right? Mm-hmm. He still owns all the Activision-Blizzard stock. And he knows or would have known that it was at a low point. Whereas today, I don't know if you saw, the stock was up over 30% on this news, of course. So he would have still had his payday because he could just wait until today, or he could have waited until in the future when it's worth more and just cashed out. He'd still make his hundreds and hundreds of millions. So the sad fact is he was always going to golden parachute away. What you really have to hope for someone as bad as him is some type of civil or criminal cases brought towards him.
Yep. Yeah. You had up the leadership team at Microsoft. Ames.
I had it right here. Yes.
And it is glorious. It's glorious. That is a wonderfully diverse group of people. A number of them women in executive leadership roles, which is something that the video game industry gets consistently called out for. 1, 2, 3, 4.
More women than men.
6, 7. Yep. That's what I was looking at. And that is, I think, a great sign. It's a sign amongst many other things that need to change. However, it would have to be encouraging on some level for future employees to think they're going to be in a place that's more welcoming. They've got pronouns listed. They've got titles that I don't understand. I don't know what CVP of Xbox Game Studios. How is that different than, product
real talk? I thought the chief of staff was solely for the president.
Wow, guys. Wow.
You got another VP in there. I see a few VP. This is crazy talk.
Wow, you guys are killing me right now. Well, without diving into all the titles, we can talk about one title, which is Phil Spencer's. Because in this news, he got a new title.
That is a transition.
Guys, have you seen this? Have you looked at this?
That's how you segue, boys. That's how you segue. So CEO of gaming. For those who weren't paying attention closely previously, he was head of Xbox previously. And corporate vice president of gaming for Microsoft. Now, the reason those things are vastly different, even though you're just throwing words around, is that now being a CEO means that he runs a company, whereas being a corporate vice president of gaming at Microsoft means he's a vice president within a company. So what they've obviously done here has kind of, with this news, and now obviously the revenue streams, the employees, everything that comes along with Xbox and Microsoft's gaming division being as big as it is, once this closes, they're divesting and separating into two companies. And that obviously is a play for legal reasons, government reasons, agency reasons, all the things that they'll have to overcome to make this official and close legally and kind of fruitfully next year. So people are like, oh, CEO gaming, that's cool. And it's like, well, there's a lot more that goes into that than just throwing some new letters up on the screen. But it was significant. And I was surprised. Well, maybe not surprised, but it was kind of funny that so few people were talking about that today, because it has big implications for Xbox and Microsoft's gaming division in the future.
Those implications legally, I heard a lot of people jumping around words like monopoly and antitrust, which was...
Those people are idiots.
Yeah. I mean, like, you would not tell Wayne Gretzky,
don't take my quote. Don't take my quote. Don't you do it. I will jump through this camera.
Ains, I just want you to know that I am pro-trust. I am very pro-trust.
I texted Joe at 10 o'clock to say I was going to steal your joke.
You better not.
I did. I really did that.
So people know what we're joking about. Jason Schreier said something like, I'm going to talk to some experts about antitrust. And that is just an idiotic statement, because trying to tell Microsoft about antitrust is like trying to tell Gretzky how to pass a puck. So it's just, that's an idiotic statement.
But real talk, a lot of listeners may not know why.
Yeah. Why?
And to be clear, I'm no expert here either. But
no, that's not what you said.
Typically,
no. Ains, you work in the corporate sector.
No.
For 47 years.
I know what the titles mean, for God's sakes, but so typically anyway, when you're talking about the first is the obvious thing, right? Microsoft has been working on this deal for a very long time now. Obviously, they're the biggest corporation in the world. There's so many things that go into this that they would have already been prepared for and already calculated against, right? They know this. Yeah. The second thing is, anytime you're talking about monopolies or antitrust, from what I know, again, not an expert, is you start to look at things like the industry as a whole and what impact this deal would have on that industry as a whole. A monopoly should be pretty obvious to everyone. It would mean that you've monopolized the industry to the point where no competitor can basically have an advantage over every single competitor, to where a competitor can no longer compete. That's obviously not true.
Because just off top, just a real quick, you got EA, Take-Two, Nexon, Bandai Namco, Embracer, Netmarble, Ubisoft, Konami, Square Enix, Capcom, Sega.
You can keep going. Yeah, and even more so, right? As people rightly pointed out, even adding Activision-Blizzard's revenue stream and employees to Xbox, they're still third in the gaming industry behind Tencent and Sony. Which again, people must not have heard properly with the whole PlayStation is dead conversation. PlayStation's going to be okay. The other thing is, it just goes into that conversation. You look at revenue stream, you look at employees. It's just nowhere near the level that it would need to be to have a serious conversation around monopolization or antitrust. That's pretty much the basics of it.
And Microsoft has dealt with antitrust issues in the past. That was the
endlessly.
Endlessly. They were notorious for having that. They were the subject of even fictional movies based on them at one point.
But don't worry, guys. Jason Schreier is going to get to the bottom of it.
Thank God for Jason.
Thank God. He's on the case.
He does write good books. I'll give him that.
Then stick to books.
Honestly, I'm just really impressed of how far he could get his head up his own ass. Like, I'm just always constantly surprised.
Like, I don't want to. Anytime there's a major thing in the industry, he feels he has to comment on it, and instead of just saying comment on it from a fan point of view,
he should
always
comment.
Think he has to comment like an expert. It's like you obviously don't know what you're talking about in this area. Just stay out of it.
I'm gonna mute you and block you.
Whatever.
I've used that. Dude, 2022 has been a new energy for me, and I have been muting and blocking a lot of voices that are just
feels good, doesn't it?
It does. I just decided I was done with a lot of things. Like, I can't chase one thing and let that be why I subject myself to other stuff. And I was like, no, I'm done. I'm just gonna enjoy myself in this beautiful, glorious medium we have. And if things come, great.
You finally started playing chess when you've been playing checkers for too long.
Don't take my joke.
But honestly, going back to the antitrust stuff, this is gonna pass. They've set it in stone themselves. It seems
barring outside action of some weirdness, like some odd thing is unveiled.
Right.
Yeah, they're done. Yeah, this is it.
This is it. So, they wouldn't do the calculations. They wouldn't be doing the maneuvering if they knew they could not. This couldn't get done. If there was a chance of this slipping, no. Mm-mm.
So let's transition to some of the studios they picked up, some of the personnel they picked up. In returning. They did all of this to get Mikey Barr and Rod Ferguson back. It is really what we're getting at
man.
That was the whole reason they did that. But it's pretty wild when you look at it. I mean, I listed the studios before, but let me list them one more time. Treyarch, Raven, High Moon, Beanox, Sledgehammer, Infinity Ward, Demonware, and Toys for Bob. And they cover franchises like Overwatch, Diablo, Call of Duty, World of Warcraft, Candy Crush, StarCraft, and more. And that is just a huge plethora because multiple of those genres are layered. To get Diablos, to get multiple elements of Diablo, to get multiple elements of Call of Duty across several different types of platforms. This is a big deal to get the talent at those studios, hopefully, in my hopes, to free up some of those talent to do creative things as opposed to becoming a farm factory for certain elements, maps, physics, whatever it is. And it hopefully unmalign some of the IP that have been long dormant or ignored, right? I mean, Overwatch 2 is in anguish right now. StarCraft has been a beloved franchise, but we haven't seen much from it in certain spaces. There's got to be a lot of ways that they can attack this. And my hope, gentlemen, to kind of get you started, is that they free up some of these Call of Duty franchises or studios to do their own thing and to give the time they need and not release in some of the states that they have. Because certainly Vanguard and Battlefield taught lessons this year, I would hope.
My big thing is, yes, so specifically on Call of Duty, and my big thing is I hope that exactly what you said, right? You have some very talented studios. Raven right now is still like having issues within Activision. That's one of the baggage points that we were talking about. But Treyarch, Sledgehammer, Vicarious Visions in particular too, very talented studio. I hope that what they do is keep Warzone and keep a Call of Duty that's an ongoing service game, but move Call of Duty itself, the named releases, off of the yearly model. Get away from the year, release it every couple of years with a proper campaign. If you want to do a new multiplayer suite that ties into the live service, great, what have you. But for God's sakes, man, I know it still sells number one every year, and from a financial perspective, it probably makes a lot of sense. But I just, from a personal fan perspective, Call of Duty has felt dead to me for a long time now, and there's so little iteration. I really need to see something better out of that.
Imagine if they could coordinate Doom, Wolfenstein, Overwatch, Halo, and Call of Duty across their shooter space. And Gears. Well, that's third person. I was thinking first person, but you make a good point. Imagine if they could coordinate releases to where you've got an FPS to a year, beginning of the year, end of the year.
Every 6 months. Yeah.
Every 6 months is the right way to say that. Yes, perfect.
To a year. You start at the beginning
and in the end, but that's the beginning of the other one. Yeah. But the idea is if they can manage that, suddenly studios are unburdened with trying to make it, because Halo came in hot. A lot of these big games came in hot for poor management reasons, COVID reasons, and video game industry reasons, right? But if they
and sometimes all of the above.
Yeah, you make a good, exactly. But with 30 studios across the Xbox Game Studio platform, here's hoping they can, after some, breathing room, find a cadence. That cadence we've talked about with Bethesda, right? Where they can get a release schedule that's not burdening their studios to pressure themselves, and at the same time still create and enjoy. And that's the part that excites me, is 30 game studios with how many teams per studio. If they can get it, if they can get the cadence. What's going on, Joe? You're sticking in the mud. You're wet. You're being a strider. What's the deal, buddy?
You're being a strider.
Well, I have you muted and blocked. No, listen. I don't think that's happening. There's a reason why Activision sold at 70 or almost 70 billion is Call of Duty. Okay. That game still sells whether we want it to or not, until sales prove otherwise that they should deviate from that plan. That's going to remain a thing. Call of Duty,
you don't think they would monetize battle passes and the like instead of a yearly named release?
No, because they've been doing this like iterative thing of like the Warzone campaign is tied into, Warzone storyline arcs are tied into the main game's releases. Like there's some weird tie-ins that franchise has with Warzone and the mainline Call of Duty games that I just don't see them untangling that web. I think like Treyarch, Raven, they are the Call of Duty studios, and they'll remain as such. I don't think really much changes there. That's the one. If it didn't make so much money, I would say, oh yeah, that's sure. But no, I don't see that.
I feel like with battle passes and Warzone and some of the other ways that we're seeing games being monetized. I'm not talking about NFTs. If you're an NFT bro, we need. I stopped myself. That there are plenty of ways to monetize and satiate a player base that's hungry to spend money in your ecosystem without a yearly named release. And we've seen
Microsoft stuff in Avengers, Joe. For God's sakes,
But I mean, look at Sea of Thieves. Look at State of Decay. Look at what they're trying to do with Halo Infinite, Forza Horizon. I mean, those are examples within Microsoft where they're not doing that. Does that at all phase you?
No.
Okay.
I don't think you're necessarily wrong. Like I said, it's still the best-selling game of the year, so it's hard for a company to come in and say, "Yeah, we're going to change that." You know, I just want to see a change. Now, if we think the reverse, because there are things Call of Duty does well, in the sense of beyond sales, right? They have a massive global infrastructure to support that game. Mm-hmm. It has its own pro league. Warzone it's one of the biggest battle royales in the world. That's its own thing. So there is an awful lot going on with. Say it again.
Mobile. They have a great mobile game.
Mobile as well. Call of Duty Mobile. So there's a lot going on with it. What I would say is, if that can't be true, where you separate the model, then let's make the reverse true, where instead of pounding Raven and Treyarch to death and Sledgehammer to death every year to get this game out, let's grow the studios like Microsoft has done with their other studios and give them the support, staffing, and funding they need to make this work well.
That's what I think is going to happen. Is they're just going to further support those studios with more staff and staff them appropriately. I think that's what they're going to do to maintain that Call of Duty machine. Because there's so much on the production end of you just literally going, all right, so there's enough of this, and now that chain changes, right? One would assume that's how my brain would think, and like how does those changes then affect this new type of production line you've just made, right? So yeah, no, I see Call of Duty a yearly release, and honestly, Real as Rain is probably the only game that is maybe still a multi-plat.
I was about to say that was going to be my next topic is exclusivity. I don't see Call of Duty exclusive in 2023, but I do see it transitioning elements of its services to being exclusive, maybe campaigns. And I argued with I didn't argue. I just pointed out, somebody was like, "Are you crazy? They'll never do campaigns exclusively." That's literally what Halo did with the free-to-play multiplayer, and they put their campaign on Game Pass essentially. There's a like side model there, and so I wonder if by 2024 that's not what's happening with Call of Duty. But I agree with you, that will likely be the only multi-plat game, and I think the days are numbered on that as well, unless deals are struck. Money greases hands and changes minds, and I could see deals struck down the line. Hey, give this, get that, and vice versa. And there's a lot of ways to make that money move, but losing Call of Duty would be a huge blow to PlayStation. That would be a massive blow to PlayStation.
Massive.
And I don't think
a Spider-Man level blow, I think.
Yeah, I don't even think the weight of that would be fully understood.
Right.
That would be astronomical. That would be like the equivalent, going back, this is going to date me a bit, but when EA said they're not going to support the Dreamcast.
Yeah.
Which was a huge blow to the Dreamcast, and really what cemented the PlayStation 2 was going to win anyway, but it kind of cemented that PlayStation came into the market and dominated Dreamcast. That would be crazy.
And let's, since we all agree, Call of Duty probably still multi-plat for at least 2 years.
Yeah. Well, I think so. Okay. The only thing I was going to say in the bigger picture here is we have to keep in mind the Bethesda deal happened 2 years ago, right?
Sure.
Am I right in 2 years? Has it been that long?
Yeah, it's been a minute. I mean, officially last year, but announced back in 2020,
wasn't it? Announced.
Okay, and closed last year, right?
Yeah.
So my only point was going to be, let's remember it's January 2022. This is not closing until the middle of 2023. So you should not expect to see any kind of major change for at least 2 years. Yeah. To even begin to start to unfold. So we're a long ways out from major changes.
Yeah, absolutely. Which that means there still could be a chance that some of these games, let's just say,
I think it'll happen
Diablo,
faster than Bethesda, though. They I read somewhere today, and I wish I had the source, I'm sorry, said that Bethesda was the model for how they were acquiring. And I would think that Bethesda is a different type of acquisition in terms of pipeline for content, and that might adjust their timelines a little bit. But I am agreeing with you that 2024 is when we begin to see the early parts of this labor outside of Game Pass arrivals and perks.
Yeah.
The other thing I want to ask you guys about, not to get us off topic, it ties to this piece here, is that Bethesda very specifically kept their publishing arm. So they're under Xbox Game Studios, but there's still going to be Bethesda published games. Nothing to do with exclusivity. I'm talking just about publishing. Activision is one of the biggest publishers in the world. Yet I'm looking through the press release right now. I don't see anything saying that Activision is going to publish games. Did you guys hear anything about that?
Heard nothing so far. And by the way, to any listener, we're recording this the night of the big news. We're putting this out tomorrow, I think, right?
Yes. So we're going right off the cuff here.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, so if you think about Activision, we joked about this earlier, published Sekiro from Software, right? They don't own the IP. They just published it. So are we going to say those deals are just Xbox in the future, even if they're multi-plat games? Is that a continued possibility? There's weird things like that where my mind thinks about it.
Sure. My mind thinks about how PlayStation's dead, because my next little transition here is, we talked about how this changes things for PlayStation in massive ways.
Yes.
The implications of which are unknown, right? Microsoft, I think, just bought the biggest bargaining chip to walk over to Sony and go, now you have to deal with us. Now you're going to have to not just talk to us, you're going to put Game Pass on your console. To me, the rivalry between Xbox and PlayStation has always been dumb, because I always saw Xbox's main goal is to put this thing on everything, whether it's your TV, whether you look at the reports a few years back, they're still talking to Nintendo and trying to convince them to put Game Pass on the Nintendo Switch, right? They're trying they're trying and knocking on every door, every avenue, whatever, to get this service on that platform. This is the biggest bargaining chip of, all right, so you still want Call of Duty and all the money that comes with? Well, here's Game Pass. And I think that is, to me, where the only thing for PlayStation to do at this point is kind of accepted. I don't know what you guys think.
Well, when you look at the prices that some of these other companies are trading at, none of them even come close to what Activision was at $70 billion. I mean, Microsoft went out this morning. They swung around this giant wallet, and they said, this is what's happening, and everyone's going to deal, whether you like it or not. And that was a power move for sure. And it opened doors that we have not realized yet, to your point. I agree with you. I think that Microsoft has in the Spencer era been about getting onto as many screens as possible. And even the Matrick era, I think it wasn't worded that way, but that was his goal, was to get everywhere, right? Yeah. The Power On video documentary kind of showed that, Matrix moves there. But they did get a bargaining chip, and I wonder if you don't see certain things go multi-plat. I'm curious to know if certain things, I mentioned Spider-Man as kind of like a passing, because I would like that, right? I want Spider-Man on my platform of choice. But I mean, that was a big power move by Sony to get Spider-Man, and that was a big deal that tied into transmedia in a lot of ways. Well, having Call of Duty is an equally powerful IP in different ways. They've got bargaining chips to trade and move around a table now, and there's nothing to stop Microsoft from going to get another company or two, right? And that is a little scary, a little odd.
That's the shit I don't like, to be honest. Again, it comes back to my hippie liberal side of just like, more companies just buying out companies. Come on. That's what I don't like.
I'm with you on that. However, I'm only quietly comforted by the fact that Microsoft has let all these people they've acquired do their thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like there's a hope, there's a hope in my mind there, but regardless, I just want to know who trades what and what moves around, what stays multi-platform, what doesn't. I don't see many things staying multi-platform outside of Call of Duty. And even then, I think the days are numbered there. Unless services, logins. You're on a PlayStation, sure, but you logged into your Game Pass account. Let's go. God of War is on PC now, guys. And I'm talking to the listeners, to anyone that was in doubt. Horizon's coming to PC. It's happening, right? There is a timeline in which God of War is on Game Pass for PC. That is a thing that could happen, and you never say never. So Sonic.
It sounds batshit crazy, Luke, but who can argue with anything nowadays?
That's what I'm saying. Like, there was
up
a day
is
where
down,
Sonic
down is left.
would never be in a game with Mario, and now we expect it. We expect it. God of War and Game Pass for PC, like whatever. And who cares if it's there? We've proven time and again you can put that mess on Epic Game Store, on Valve, on Steam rather, on Windows, whatever. Just put it out there. People want to play it. People want to play it. Halo and Call of Duty were the highest MPD numbers for November, and the freaking campaign is on Game Pass, and the multiplayer is free for Halo.
Real talk, the thought of getting or playing Halo Infinite with a fully functioning DualSense controller gets me half mass.
Well, he doesn't like parallel sticks. For the record, he wasn't dissing the controller. He didn't want parallel sticks, everyone.
No, I mean, the controller's okay, but...
Fuck off. But no, Luke, it sounds crazy. Like, the logic part of my brain, which side's that? The left doesn't want to believe you, but...
like, at this point...
anything's possible. And that's really where, like, shit gets exciting. Like, because this is not to destroy PlayStation. Nobody's going out of business here.
No,
this is literally.
I'm interrupting you. Only
go for it.
You put out an amazing tweet from the Trophy Room handle, I think, or maybe it was your personal one. All the IP that Sony has is going nowhere, and they have put out banger after banger. Their least respected one, Days Gone, did reasonably well for all the hoopla it's getting. But you listed them. Do you want to list them? I'd cut you off.
Yeah. We still got God of War. We still got Uncharted. We still got Last of Us. We still got Horizon Zero Dawn. Everything's fine. Just breathe.
Spider-Man, Wolverine.
Spider-Man. But when I live and breathe, the Wolverine. Like, things are fine. Mm-hmm. We got a Star Wars, for Christ's sakes.
Like I said earlier, people forget that PlayStation's annual revenue is still higher than Xbox and Activision combined.
And that's the other thing that people
combined. People don't know how big PlayStation is. They're massive.
They're massive, and they don't talk to me. And probably because what I'm about to say. At the end of the day, right? Microsoft isn't they're not leading in like anything in terms of like console sales.
All right, Pony, here we go.
They're not big. Like, this is from Benji. Like, they're not big in mobile, but what they are doing right now is they really are being the thought leader. They're acting like it. They are making the most amount of changes. They are influencing the industry. Why did I say that so fucking weird? They're influencing the industry so, massively. In the past just 2 years alone. Yeah. It's incredible. So, like, to me, this is, what we just saw here today is the pendulum switch of like, holy shit. Now we're playing a whole different game here. Now this legitimately changes things of how, Microsoft maneuvers the field, but also, PlayStation maneuvers the field. So to me, it's exciting because that thought of like, God of War coming to Game Pass, maybe one day.
I'll play it again.
Being able to play Gears on a PlayStation isn't that crazy anymore.
It's not.
I've been mostly quiet for the past few minutes because, and just smiling because it's. I think that these types of deals are making people come around to the reality that at the end of the day, it's about IP strength and money. And that's all it's ever been about. It's just that the technology wasn't there to support a different model. And it is now. And it's rapidly changing. And people who are too wrapped up in the mindset of generations and consoles and, the number going from PS4 to PS5 means it's different and all this stuff. Just they're having trouble wrapping their head around the concept that at the end of the day, it's just a company making a game and trying to have as many people as possible in the world play that game. That's the very simple thing. And I'm smiling because, and not to say that I knew anything others don't, but from a technical perspective, you could see this coming, right? When they started talking about Game Pass and they started talking about xCloud, and Google threw their hat into the ring and Amazon threw their hat into the ring, people who know this space and at least the tech behind it understood where this was going. And it's just becoming more and more of a reality day by day right now. I was pulling up while you guys were talking. I wrote an article in February of 2019, literally titled "Making Sense of Xbox as a Service on Other Devices." And I used this picture as the cover.
What clickbait? What clickbait garbage?
That's Photoshop. That's not real.
And all I talked through was the very basic concept of Xbox as a service, meaning you log into Xbox no matter what you're logging in on. And funny enough, of all people, I don't know if you guys saw the interview with Phil Spencer and Bobby Kotick on the news today on the financial sector, but Bobby Kotick,
like the angel and the devil on your shoulder.
I know, but Bobby Kotick, even himself, as much as we don't want to listen to him, he basically was talking to the fact of they want the future of the metaverse. And by the way, in Xbox's press release, the word metaverse is mentioned several times.
It's the only part that also hurt me.
That's a reality that I don't like. That is true.
Yeah. But he even said, that the future of what they all envision here, from Xbox to Activision to PlayStation, anyone of the players in this game, is that anything with a processor will be able to log into their game. And that's just the reality of what the future holds. So it's just kind of interesting to me listening to all the people act very, very surprised about where this is going. That said, I completely agree with you guys that just conceptually thinking about, I'm going to turn on my Series X later and play some God of War is like, wait, what? Like, that doesn't make a lot of sense because we're so used to associating IPs to platforms. That's just the way it's always been.
We're on the verge of PlayStation Spartacus. We'll hear about that.
It's already dead. Don't even worry about it.
But I mean, that's kind of the thing is like, that's a login. That's a login. Whatever it is, you log in, right? Like whatever they decide to make that service, it's a login. And if I just log in on my processing device that happens to be Xbox branded, who cares if I'm paying for the service, PlayStation Plus or anything else? They can't make enough of these units to sell. So why not let me give you money through the device I own? You know what I mean?
And we're going to get down to a point where it's literally just device preference. Like, do I like my thing looking like a monolith or like a weird futuristic?
While there are dedicated devices,
and for anyone,
I don't think that'll go on forever.
I don't think it will either. And for anyone still in doubt, really and truly, I'll remind you that in the film space, in the last few years, a company has wiped away one version of a movie and made a 4-hour version of it with the Snyder Cut.
Could we not get through every episode?
Stick with me.
Every episode.
Stick with me. They did that, and because it was going to make money, and there was social demand for it. Spider-Man included multiple Spider-Men, and it's become the almost.
Whoa! Spoilers.
Oh, shut up! You all knew it.
Everybody knows it made $1 billion. Get over it.
I haven't
it's
seen
on
it.
every bit of marketing. But like that has become one of the highest grossing films of all time and is the highest grossing film of all time in multiple countries around the world. And the next Flash movie has multiple Batman. People are doing this because it's making money. They're going to give people what they want in multiple spaces, and they're going to move mountains and legal rights and anything else to make it happen. And so that was my direction in telling you that. That was the reason why they brought back actors from movies of yore just to sell this new product. And how many people did that to go
4x3 still sucks.
It did. I agree.
It does.
I agree.
I get it. I get it. Monetarily, they had to make some cuts here or there, but like, I get what you're saying, Luke. I do, and it's true. And I feel like it's a concept that I'm not even gonna paint with. Just these fucking losers can't really comprehend. The people that sit down and pretend 1 minute that they're an engineer, the next minute they're a fucking lawyer, that they've done their own research, and I've looked up every article about you, the type of weird shit that I see on Twitter. This is not about your emblem winning. This is literally about getting that service or their service on as many pieces of hardware as they can. That's what this future is. And so to transition off of that angry rant for just a second, because I hate all content creators and you're all garbage in your thumbnails with and your Phil Spencer. How many Phil Spencer thumbnails? Get an original goddamn thought.
Wait for the rest of the week.
Yeah, right. Jesus Christ. Also, the God worship. It's really just cool at God.
Yeah, he's just
God.
A guy. He's a great
a guy. Steve Jobs, just a dude. And guess what? We all worshipped him behind the scenes, an evil piece of shit.
Yeah,
so like,
just human being.
Be
now,
real.
Zack Snyder, on the other hand.
No.
Now, what John Watts was able to do with Spider-Man.
He's muted there. He's done. No more from him.
No, but to go into where does PlayStation go from here, guys? Because like Spartacus, like here's the cool thing, dude. Phil Spencer. Now here's a little God worship, just because I love a little tat, right? He literally the day before this announcement goes, "Oh, PlayStation's gonna have their games day and date. We expect that." So now this service, which is fantastic, and the creator of it kind of just set the bar of where their rival service, PlayStation service, should be, right? And then the day after that, they literally announce, "Hey, we have the biggest gaming acquisition in the world." And so now it's kind of put PlayStation in this corner of like, well, hot damn. Mm-hmm. Where do we go from here? Because suddenly we just lost opportunities to put, a Call of Duty on here or Diablo, whatever have you, on the service.
Yeah.
Where do you? This one's a lot to unpack, so I'll go with you, Ains. Where do you see? Where are we going?
I was excited. I had a good.
Oh, he muted himself.
Sorry,
congratulations, you played yourself.
That's called karma. Jerk.
I was typing because I was PlayStation. Some PlayStation insiders have informed me. I mean, the good insiders have informed me that they have a new acquisition that'll be announced soon. Of course, right? And so I was just looking up to see if I could find the development studio for PlayStation. And I found them. It's these guys.
Play the GIF. Play the GIF.
I don't have it.
God damn it.
Oh my God, that's great.
But in all seriousness, it is gonna be interesting to see what PlayStation does. I think we've already commented that no, PlayStation's not dead. No. Their revenue, last I checked, I'm going off the top of my head, was like 26 or 28 billion a year.
But what's their operating costs?
They've broken their own records for revenue. The PlayStation 5 is the fast selling console in the US, blah 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 blah. They're extremely
Look at Joe. You're not watching Joe, and he's doing a great.
That looks even funnier now with your head shape, by the way.
It's just the lower half.
But I honestly don't know. I think that we mentioned earlier that if Call of Duty does, especially if they get further resources and they start releasing the Call of Duty quality that we have seen in the past, the Modern Warfares, etc., and they do that consistently, if that does become exclusive, let's say it does, and Diablo 4 comes out and it's exclusive, and Overwatch 2 comes out and then it's exclusive, that
everybody will play it on
problem.
PC. That's the thing. I'm sorry. I was being serious and I cut you off and it threw you off, and I'm so sorry. Shouldn't stop.
No.
Such a stupid idiot.
I thought you were joking.
No.
Because that is fundamentally, I mean, that's not true.
Untrue.
Yeah. I mean, sure. So some people that own PlayStations will play those games on PC for sure.
Yeah.
But there's definitely a shown propensity for exclusivity, even on console exclusivity, having a meaningful impact on the direction of the console platforms.
Yes. I think I'm talking about something different, and I'm lost. So please continue.
Okay.
Because I think I went in a different direction, and I'm sorry.
What I was alluding to, right, is the fact of the moms and the pops and the grandmoms who go buy consoles today and go buy a PlayStation or Xbox. But, Halo's a big IP. God of War's a big IP. These are system sellers, right? But Call of Duty is probably the biggest system seller on the planet. Maybe FIFA is up there, but those two are pretty much it globally, annually. If you suddenly go into a store, imagine you go into a store, a guy who knows nothing about what we're talking about, and says, yeah, give me Call of Duty 2024 for PlayStation. And the guy says it's not on PlayStation. You have to buy an Xbox. That's just a bizarre conversation to have. And that would be had for tens of millions of people around the world. So I think it is a problem in the sense of it depends on where they go with the exclusivity argument here. But no matter what, PlayStation, I'm not going to say they have to respond. That's like a cliched statement,
I think they have to. I think they're dead otherwise.
I don't think they need to do anything like come out and say, here's Horizon again. We have a grapple shot too, or grapple hook too, like they did with Halo.
That's funny.
But if I'm Jim Ryan right now,
Ryan,
if I'm Jim Ryan, and my Pinocchio nose is, sticking out 10 feet, and I'm trying to figure out what's the next step for PlayStation. One, I'm a little bit angry that I'm not Phil Spencer and don't have tens of billions of dollars to throw around at will. But two, you have to think about where PlayStation's strengths are and how they can further capitalize on them, which he's already doing, of course. And PlayStation's strengths are global reach and IP strength. Now, Microsoft took a huge leap forward with global reach today. I don't even know what those monthly active user numbers look like comparatively now between Xbox and Activision and PlayStation, but IP strength is still there. And I think they have to continue to capitalize on the God of Wars, the Horizons, everything we just said. But I don't know if that's enough. It's enough to continue to be profitable. It's enough to continue to grow. But as the gaming industry grows exponentially, is it enough to keep PlayStation relevant enough to where people are going to buy a piece of unique hardware for it? I don't know the answer to that question. And this will bring up the long-running question of, does PlayStation, like Sega 20 years ago, become a service, become a brand, to where you're just buying their IPs? That's buying their games, excuse me.
See, I don't see that happening yet. I see...
No, I said long.
Right. Yeah. In the short term, I see Square Enix partnering and going with Sony. They've just been going in that direction. If that's the case, free Crystal Dynamics, free them up. But I wonder, as you're talking about PlayStation, I wonder where Nintendo fits in specifically to PlayStation. Do they link up? Do they get bought by someone? Because they're both cheaper than Activision. Nintendo's cheaper than Activision. There's elements of this that if PlayStation wants to survive long term, they cannot continue to operate the way that we know them to be at the moment, right? I say that when we're on the verge of Spartacus and what will likely be a new step, knowing full well that they could make their legacy more available to people, and that could pay some short-term dividends, because back compat's great for Xbox, right? They're having a back compat sale and everyone went nuts about it. So there is value in that, but it only goes so far, right? That's a limited versus unlimited directory. So I want to know who they link up with, who they partner with. Does Apple come into play? Where does Tencent maneuver in this space? What happens with Amazon and Google in these spaces where they have infrastructures that are available to them? Absolutely. My phone woke up. Hello. 100% Sony is going to be talking or examining these other space competitors and saying, all right, you have infrastructure, you have global reach, you have monthly active users, we have IP, we have hardware knowledge, we have the ability to sell games with a proven track record across 4 generations. That's what I see happening over the next few years, because what else can they do, right? Like, what else could you do? Because they can't continue at status quo and survive.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Or first of all, you made some really good points there. And sorry, Joe. The only thing I was going to say,
don't give them credit.
The only thing I was going to say is, or really, all they can do is survive. Quote, survive. Mm-hmm. Meaning that if they want to continue to be a leader in the space, they're going to have to evolve of the likes of the ways you said. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, if you look at Nintendo today, Nintendo's very successful. Mm-hmm. But when you look at Nintendo compared to the leaders in the gaming space, they're not that successful. They're not bringing in anywhere near the amount of revenue that the leaders in the space do. Nintendo seems to be perfectly content with that. So I think the question to be asked as well is PlayStation content with that? PlayStation's used to being the leader, and they have been the leader for a very long time. Can they relegate themselves essentially to just a independent presence in a much bigger market? Or do they do, like you said, partner with someone like Amazon and say, we got IP, you have infrastructure, let's work together and battle this Microsoft juggernaut and Tencent juggernaut?
I think there's somewhere in between.
Okay.
Yeah, so the one thing that I don't feel like a lot of people give Sony credit is they're a goddamn nimble ass company, man. Especially when it comes to the production side of things. With that company, it's pretty damn impressive what Sony's been able to do when we're talking about TVs, movies, you know, how they're able to navigate the Netflixes, you know, the Hulus and now Disney Pluses, and how they've all kind of, Sony's kind of shaken hands with all of them. In various different ways, whether it's like shows on Hulu one minute and then shows on Netflix the other, you know, or whether it's like Spider-Man on Disney Plus while our other movies will be on Netflix, right? Mm-hmm. So they're a nimble company, and I think they understand where their cards are, and I think part of them are content, but the other part is they want to be as aggressive as they can with the time that they have. So I think the next 2 years is going to define what Sony or what PlayStation is going to look like in the long term. To me, they have a year to really make PlayStation Spartacus this service that you want, and it's going to either live or die. And the success of Spartacus is going to probably dictate what Game Pass will look on a PlayStation. But I don't think they're ever going to give up hardware. That's not even just a point of pride with me. I think, you know, on the hardware side of things, they're still making TVs. God bless them. They're still making, you know, laptops and stuff like that. So
are they really? I thought BIOS were gone.
No, they're coming back. Yeah. I think they're starting to come back stateside. Nonetheless, I think Sony Ericsson, is that still a thing? God bless him if it is.
I don't think so.
No, I don't think so either. So yeah, they're still around in multiple ways, but they're way more nimble than they once were, and they're also smaller than they once were. This is really these next few years are going to be telling, because the service needs to be this service needs to be comparable. What's the word I want to use here? I can't. My tongue won't let me do. Comparable. Or competitive.
Comparable is the you said it right.
Either one. To Game Pass.
It needs to go toe to toe in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah,
and
like
Game
their
Pass,
games.
We didn't say 25 million as of today. 25 million, which
honestly thought it was going to be bigger than that.
I thought it was going to be bigger than that too. I thought it'd be bigger than that too.
I heard from my insiders it was 30.
Well, no, the Rockstar guy in a
Take Two.
Was it Take Two?
Yeah,
it's Take Two CEO.
Rockstar?
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever.
No, right. They own Rockstar, but he owns He's the CEO of Take Two.
Yeah. He
Zal Strelnick. I know that word.
In a very public, like CNN money type thing, he was like, "Hey, Phil, aren't we near 30? We're near 30, Phil." And Phil was like, "Dear God, shut up! We're trying to buy Activision."
I don't know about that one, bud.
Speaking of which, on that point, you joked about WB. My big thing, and as I was doing the math today on market cap value and stuff, I was like, man, they could have bought Ubisoft, EA, and Take-Two for the amount that they paid for Activision. And I was thinking that's Rockstar, so that's GTA and Red Dead, and the other things Rockstar has. That's Dead Space, Apex Legends, Battlefield, Anthem, BioWare, Dragon Age, Mass Effect. Think of the IPs, and that would come with those additions. I was like, from a gaming perspective, I would have been way more interested in that than Activision. But hey, it is what it is.
It is what it is.
There's a lot of strangeness, and finding out Konami was worth $6 billion surprised me. I was like, really, still?
Who?
Slot machines and pachinko machines, man.
Yeah, man. It was today was interesting as we all kind of looked at some of that stuff. I want to, before we read tweets, because we had two tweets.
Sure.
Before we read those, when we haven't talked about Toys for Bob, they make great games. They make Crash Bandicoot and Spyro titles. Those are legitimately good platformer games.
Where's the other one? What's the other company? They're in upstate New York.
Sir? I don't know.
Vicarious Visions.
Vicarious Visions.
They're now part of Blizzard.
They're not.
Rip
they're
that
part
up.
of Vicarious Blizzard. Are they still around? I thought they were absolved.
They were absorbed by Blizzard. But what I would like is like them going, you know what? Undo this. And you're back. Yeah. Oh, excuse me. You're back to where you were. Go remake some cool shit.
Toys for Bob, Banjo-Kazooie. It better be happening right now. Like literally, I emailed Phil tonight, and I basically said, this better be the first thing that happens out of this deal.
Phil Spency.
He said he's going to try to see what he can do.
You got Phil Spency's email.
Yeah, I got him, man. Yeah, I got him.
I think it's
we exchanged it at Thanksgiving.
Xbox.com.
Yeah. Yeah, I always get a response.
It's really frustrating. All right. We're going to break my soul here. Aaron Greenberg follows Joe.
He does. He does. Follows me too, actually. Funny.
Yeah. It's funny how that works. I met someone very famous today, and I'll tell you guys after the show.
I'm excited. I wonder if it's who I think it is. So let's do a couple. We have two tweets that I wanted to get to. One of them, I think we kind of addressed both, but this one comes from our good friend JJ Study, who helped Joe and I to 6 Crown Royales last night.
Shot a guy with a gray pistol, downed him.
He did.
That's imperative.
We revived him.
What did I miss?
Don't make fun of JJ. Don't make fun of Suddy. He's on dialysis.
Right. He is. Just like
he is. That's not a joke. Don't laugh, Ains. Ains is laughing.
You guys are
Look
laughing
at this guy. Cancel Ains.
Cancel Ains. Ridiculous.
You guys
he didn't want to do the same things as Ben Lyon. They both.
Joe, go turn autocorrect on. Jesus Christ.
So he says,
whichever will help me.
Is for Mr. Badbit, and he had several questions. First one's for Mr. Badbit. Can you tell us why PlayStation is dead?
Sure. Because I made all these videos and thumbnails about it. You know?
Also, for the group, would you make us wait so long? The utter joy of Cast Co-op brings me while commuting is sorely missed. Love you guys. New edition for 2022. Thank you, Suddy. We love you, buddy.
Thank you, brother.
We love you.
That was my fault, by the way, audience. My fault last week.
No, it wasn't.
Honestly, worked in our favor.
It worked in our favor.
It sure did.
And honest to goodness, Suddy, I think we took time off and then we came back to our own content and it just would gradually ramp up. We always told each other, and I always told Ains just to leave me alone whenever he wanted to make the show better. I was like, no, I don't want to do extra work for this. So here we are. Why doesn't Aaron follow me? I don't want to do extra work. This tweet comes from Marcus Phoenix. He said, how are you feeling regarding the exclusives? Winky face, all jokes aside. Curious what you guys think about what will stay multi-plat besides Call of Duty. Which IPs could become exclusive on Game Pass once this deal goes through. I think we talked, COD stays multi-plat.
For now.
I think
short term. Yeah.
I think World of Warcraft will... Well, that's a PC. That doesn't matter.
I'm very curious about
Overwatch
Diablo.
Overwatch is going to be interesting. Diablo
Those
4 is going to be interesting.
Overwatch 2 and Diablo 4 are interesting to me because people, again, that's not fair to just say people. That's just a speculation. But Diablo is a huge, huge, huge IP and franchise. And that will sell tens of millions of copies, assuming it comes out on Xbox, PlayStation, PC. If that were to suddenly go exclusive and launch on Game Pass, that is a massive, massive shift. Diablo 3 has sold how many copies? Like 30 million? Something crazy.
Yeah.
I want to know what's going to happen with Overwatch 2. I saw a tweet. Honest to goodness, I can't remember who it was. It was Jez or Jeff or someone, one of the big like leaker journalists, said that Overwatch 2 has to be the most mismanaged franchise because they have this massive peak of its height and then nothing gets done with it. The pro league's dying out. Their iteration doesn't make sense. It's going to cross server. It's just weird.
Yeah, I think that's probably the one that needs the multi-plat.
Mm-hmm.
I truly I love Overwatch. I have a lot of respect for it. Hashtag uncancel McCree. Only kidding. That was a bad joke. I take it all back. Cancel me.
Cancel Joe.
Overwatch 2 gives me Bleeding Edge vibes. I'm gonna tell you that right now.
No, dude, Overwatch is fucking great. So, but like
Overwatch
that
2,
community, man, it's dead. Takes minutes to find a match. That's the one that definitely needs as many people as possible. So I hope that one stays just for that game, because yeah,
it's gonna be interesting to see what comes of that game. Because the rumors are that it's basically done, but who knows what's going on with it? I mean, we haven't seen it in forever. It's weird. By the way, I looked up Diablo 3 while you guys were talking. Diablo 3, not the series. Diablo 3 passed 30 million sales in 2015.
Yeah.
So for to put into perspective, Spider-Man has sold what 22 million on PS. God of War's like 19 or 20. Diablo 3 is way further. Diablo is way bigger than those. So you can just imagine if that suddenly goes exclusive to Xbox. It's wild.
Yeah.
Let's see. Any IPs become exclusive to Game Pass?
Well, they specifically mentioned today that one of their top priorities is launching Activision-Blizzard titles in Game Pass. So my opinion or my thought process is any of these games that launch on console are going into Game Pass on day one.
Yep.
I think that's the case, yes. What about their back catalog? You thinking we're going to see like Call of Duty World War II in the Game Pass? We're going to see
100%.
Diablo? Yeah.
Especially with Xbox's backwards compatibility, 100%.
I think that is the thing that was missed. Oh, wait, that wasn't you guys. Dr. Mo and I were talking on the last XEP, like, what else has Xbox got this year? Because if Redfall goes, Starfield there, what else is there?
We talked about that on Bitcast too.
Oh, is that maybe it was with you?
Yeah, thanks. It's cool. I'm forgettable. I get it.
Yeah,
I'm not invited on that show anymore. I'm not holding a grudge.
Well, that's because you were mean to Ty Guy Travis, and we love him.
Sure.
Yeah, you'll be on this week, so we can talk about PlayStation's Tombstone.
Oh, all right, that's great.
Right.
First off, can I just say I love Travis.
Yeah.
And when I said that he may have Benjamin Button disease, I saw an expression on his face that went to "I fucking hate this guy." That was all in jest. Look at me, all right. I look like the what's the guy with the he sells you detergent, Mr. Clean. Yeah,
you don't look clean. You look like you smell.
I look like Mr. Clean gained some fucking COVID, pounds. So who am I to judge? I'm just jealous of that kid's youth.
Bro, shave your beard, put on a black polo, and go as the guy from Pawn Stars for Halloween.
Best I could do is onset diabetes. That's what I look like.
Oh man. I think we've kind of covered the two questions or the couple questions from tweets.
Let me put just this image up because Clobril posted this and it was kind of staggering to look at. I don't know if you guys saw this.
Is this the Smash? Yeah, we got enough characters for Smash.
Yeah, I know another character, but it's kind of nuts to think that's all first party now.
Now they got Crash twice. They got a Call of Duty guy.
Twice. Yeah.
Why do they
2 times?
Oh, Beanox and King. Maybe one's a racer.
Yeah.
Maybe one's
kart racer, maybe, but King would be Candy Crush, right?
Bring back Skylanders. Shut up.
Skylanders for like Microsoft stuff.
No, here's what I want. I don't want the
toys. They start putting Chief in different games. I'm there.
Right?
Yeah. I put out a great tweet today that I was very proud of.
Probably not, but let's
I get
hear
like 1 out of 4. 1 out of 4. But I was like, Master Chief's not in COD by the end of the day. I call foul. And I just think of all the crossovers here. And real talk, I want them to. They can dive into a treasure chest of IPs and bring them out. Skylanders without the toys, no toys to life stuff, but just the characters they've got, the gameplay that was there. I've often said I want Disney Infinity, which is not Activision, to come back in a digital form. Like, bring back these games, put your resources to spread across family and all these different genres. The only thing they don't have is a fighter. Right?
You know what they announced today too is Guitar Hero.
I didn't even see this. Is that a real thing? Are you messing with me?
That's a real thing. Yeah,
they Guitar Hero.
Well, they talked about it as IPs in the conversation.
God bless. Bring back Guitar Hero to have the fucking dopest soundtrack.
I have
Not
that.
even
That I'm
close.
just interested. Like, how are you going to get around peripherals? Would you want to? What's going to happen there?
I don't know. It was just
Here's-
weird to see it mentioned because I haven't thought about Guitar Hero in a long time.
Here's the
They
thing.
tried
Have
to
you
come
seen
back,
this? Have
didn't
you
they?
heard about this? NFTs and in the blockchain. What happens to that? Because Microsoft's already like beginning of this year talk shit. They're like,
Yeah.
well, we think that's a scam,
Yeah.
you know. And now you have it's like they're absolutely larger than goddamn life. It seems right now. They're already kind of shutting down that narrative of, you know, owning a chimpanzee looking fella that looks like you.
Yeah, but they're talking about the metaverse.
And that's the thing. It's
that's
like,
a
what does
reality.
their
The
version of the
metaverse
metaverse look like?
The metaverse is a reality of all of us just logging in. That is just what that is.
Yes.
And it's really bad when the Facebook guy says it. But if Phil Spencer says it, I'm excited.
Well, and like, here's the thing, but like, real talk, because I think Zuckerberg's actually a robot.
So weird.
I think like the idea of the metaverse is not, it's not here yet. Like, I think like the blockchain stuff, I think the NFT stuff, that's not a thing that's, I think, tangible in the next 5 years.
Troy Baker would beg to differ.
Well, here's the thing. You could hate it or you could create it.
Oh my
That
god.
loser said.
He is so pretentious.
What a
How do
fall
you
from
become that
grace.
pretentious?
What he literally became the villain.
Honestly.
He
But
lived
honestly-
long enough to become the villain.
But
Here's
he's always been pretentious and full of himself.
Yeah, he has been. But
Even
But
he's
he's
when
also
you
had
have
art.
hair like that,
You
you
have
can
great-
be.
but he makes great art. So when you make great art, you expect eccentricity. You expect to
Right.
be eclectic. But man, like,
Yeah, I
come
think
on.
that's different from being that full of yourself, though. I mean, you see it a lot, but you know, I don't know. I think it's
Interesting
funny, honestly.
stuff.
I
All
think
I'm
it's funny
saying
that
is-
so many people turned on him instantly.
Yeah.
Dude, there's a line, and he went way too far past it. And the thing is, you can only be so eclectic before the tolerance of the medium says no. And I mean, maybe that chick Amy had it right in Last of Us 2. Was her name Amy, right?
Abby?
Abby. Whatever.
Jesus Christ.
She was the best character in that game.
Yeah,
No.
she was.
Oh God, here we go.
She was the best character in that game.
She was. And it's a, you know, it's a good game with
It
some
is
good
a good
writing.
game. I just don't
It is a
enjoy
good
it.
game.
But it
It's
is a good game.
overrated. It's a good game.
Sure.
Is it? Yeah. You know what's not overrated? God of War. Game is so
God of
good.
War is
Real talk. Can I
fantastic.
get real? When I was 13,
By the
I
way,
wasn't allowed to buy God of War.
You guys have said real talk about 15 times during this show.
All right. Well, there's a lot to unpack here, Ian, so let me do it.
What do you want us to do?
Back when I was a kid, my mom watched a 60 Minutes article and they talked about the boobies in God of War, and I was not allowed to play God of War. And then when God of War 2 came around, my cousin Carlos had it, but he would never let me play it, and he would only let me watch him play it because he's a dick. And he grew up to also be a giant dickhead. That being said, though, I finally got around to playing the first game. Man, it holds up really well.
Yeah, it's a good action game,
And-
man.
Yeah, and then
you
like
see where
God of War
David
2.
Jaffe is, and you're like, come on, man.
Come on, Jaffe. I mean, like, yeah, like, you know, it's a 2005 game. 13, 14-year-old Joe would love all the boobies in it.
Still
But
fun.
honestly,
Good game.
I love the action. It's you know, I think this game has legs. I think it's going places.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, man, it's fun when you go back and you play a game and it holds up, right?
Yeah.
When it just holds up, it just feels good. You know,
Yeah.
I recently went through Halo Reach. I'm playing through Lords of the Fallen right now, which everyone likes to joke on. But as I said,
just started it yesterday.
It's good. It's really good. It's not.
I'll take your. I get to tell you this, but first, tell me what you think about Lords of Fallen.
I'm only like half an
it's
hour
only a
into
day,
it. So,
yeah.
Oh, okay.
but
But
it
like
does
as
have,
a Souls guy,
It's a baby
Yeah,
Souls game. It's
I
a
can't
baby
tell you.
Souls game.
I
okay.
can't tell you.
It's for babies. It's for people like me who want to play with you guys on the big leagues,
Sure.
but it's just not going to happen. And they
Yeah,
made a
because you don't
game.
have patience.
I don't
Or
have the
skill.
skill for it. You can't do platformers, bro. Like we all have that game. You know what I'm saying? He really
I didn't
doesn't.
know
But
that.
like I don't demand that platformers bend to my need. I go, oh, I can't do it. No, whatever. I'm not gonna.
And then
you
you
know.
pick up an easier one if you want to platform. That's what I
No.
did with Lords of the Fallen. I want to play. I want to play a Souls like.
I just
I'm not
don't
good enough.
demand things from developers and just act like I deserve it.
Are you thinking I am doing that?
No, just the internet.
Oh, okay. All right. I was like, really? Because every time I say they need easy mode, I'm in jest. I mean, I do think it would help them, but not
Yeah,
like mad.
whatever. Yeah, I think they're selling just some, you know, good amount of copies without them.
Go play one of the other 8 billion games that are available.
Hey,
yeah,
Joe,
seriously.
between you and me, you think Gaines is going to let me win this Elden Ring contest?
It's already over.
It's already over. I already won. I'm only kidding. I'm fucking with you. No, I'm going to say this. I platinum Sekiro, Shadows of Dia twice. And let me tell you something. Great game that some bosses... Oh, wow, they're insufferable. I'm looking at you, Shinobi Owl, you piece of human garbage. That really made me like, this could have been my favorite From game. Very close, but there are some boss fights where it's just like, oh, so you're just gonna cheat. That's what I felt like sometimes with some of these fights. That said, I then went back to Dark Souls Trace.
Yep.
And then played a little bit of Bloodborne.
And Soul 3 is the best.
I'm a humble man.
I know Soul 3 is the best. Come on.
Dark Souls 3 is right now the best From Software game.
What?
Because it's 60 FPS.
Oh.
Once Bloodborne becomes 60 FPS, it will take the reins. So no. Blue Point, I'm looking at you.
No, Blue Point, I'm definitely looking at you, but no.
Yeah. And that's the thing too. If we could just a second here, PlayStation's got some games and got some developers that are incredibly talented. And so when we talk about like, oh man, where's Sony going? It seems like they're dancing to the grave. It is something to really take note of what we mentioned earlier. Yeah, you got your Bloodbornes, you got your Horizons, you got your Ghost of Tsushimas, you got your Last of Us, you got your Uncharted. You got these games that literally people...
Game of the Year winners.
And so, there's a reason why that is the case. And if Days Gone is the worst game of the bunch,
it's a good game.
Like you said, Luke, it's a great problem to have. Yeah. And I think when we're taking a look at Spartacus before we go, what they need is to really take a look at that back catalog. Start adding stuff to it, start making deals, start shaking some hands, start adding games either day and date or just heavily discounted. You have to do something that is extremely competitive. And I think for what we've seen of Sony so far, their only problem is that they've been too conservative and too safe with their brand. And they got to take a leap of faith somewhere. Because I don't want the answer of them just to buy a Square Enix or an Ubisoft or whatever the case may be. I want a service that is competitive and understand, and I hope the audience does, that it's not a zero-sum game. That there are no winners or losers. There are no, Sony's not going under at the end of the day. Things are just going to change of how we view and how we look at these companies. So that's all I got to say on the matter. I think this has been a great show, though, and I know you guys got shit to do. So
you said one thing there that interested me.
Oh, okay, at least it's one.
Let me unpack it real fast.
Okay, please.
No, you said that you feel, if anything, Sony's been a little. You didn't say soft. What's the word you used? Which was right?
Conservative.
Conservative. Thank you.
I didn't hear that. I was typing.
God damn it. Luke, you're the one warning us.
Right?
You're the one warning us. All right. Anyway, conservative. I think you're right. I think the one thing that annoys me about Sony, and I've said this before, and some people haven't liked when I said it, is that their strong IPs that we keep talking about are starting to feel a little template-y, is the word I use to me. And let's not make any mistake. I'm not comparing Sony games to like Ubisoft, but when you're playing a Days Gone to a Horizon to a God of War, etc., there are a lot of aspects of them that are very similar. Ghost as well. And I would like to see Sony take more risks. It's not that those games aren't fantastic. It's not that God of War isn't one of the greatest games ever developed. But I worry that how long can they continue to make that same game? And I'm curious to see when we get Horizon, Gran Turismo, and God of War this year, are they more of the same? Because if that's the case, then we start going down the conversation of, oh, it's Halo, Gears, Forza, and we know what we're going to get. And I don't want to see that out of PlayStation.
It's very 2015 Microsoft. Or I'm sorry, it's in danger of being that. But Sony disappointed me with the way they handled some stuff with PS5. I don't like the physical design of the box. Felt a little bit rushed, and I don't like the way they're handling cross-gen, cross-play stuff and back and pat. There's just elements to it that just feel weird. Like, why did I have to go through 14 steps to play Spider-Man on PS5 with my PS4? Right? Like, there are a lot of missteps along the way that are not a big deal in the big scheme of things, right? But it's those little things that currently Microsoft is doing that Nintendo and Sony are not doing that bother me. And then when I see the fear of stagnation, it jumps up in my mind a little bit more. The idea that we're talking about a Last of Us remaster this early feels weird. Now, is that game going to benefit from it? Yeah. Are a lot of people going to play it and buy it? Yeah. Rock on. Like,
I am.
Enjoy it. And why? Like, there's nothing wrong with creating them, but the feeling that people will get will be that, oh, you've only got Last of Us, Spider-Man, and Horizon, or Last of Us, God of War, and whatever. That is a thing that will start to happen because we, on the internet, memeify things, right? And that is a fear that, or something that Sony needs to be just aware of. And frankly, I think they are. I don't think they're done making moves. They did a great job picking up Housemarque. I feel like Square Enix is on the horizon.
Blue Point.
Yeah, Blue Point. Yep, absolutely.
Making my Bloodborne. I'm saying with confidence it's happening.
And you deserve that Bloodborne. That has to happen now. More than ever, your Bloodborne's on the way, brother. Like, I really thought last year was your year.
It trends with 15. Yesterday, 15,000 people were talking about Bloodborne. Just give it to me, God damn it!
I'm sure it's
I mean,
coming.
PlayStation
No
got
Chrono
nothing
Cross, no Chrono Trigger, whatever the fuck Chrono game starts with. None of it. Give me goddamn Bloodborne. Ow.
It's happening, man. It really.
PlayStation got nothing else to talk about. I mean, what are you going to talk about?
Yeah.
All right, guys, I really gotta go. So let's get this show on the road.
Look at that Twitter link I gave you guys.
I did.
In the chat.
I did.
That was funny. That was funny. All right, cool. All right. That is going to conclude the first episode of Cast Co-op in 2022. We hope you guys enjoyed it. Spotify ratings are now a thing, and we would absolutely appreciate if you would go and rate the show over on Spotify and iTunes. And of course, click the like button and the subscribe button over on YouTube. Support Seasoned Gaming because they are the ones that are kind enough to host us. And of course, if you're willing to, and you're still sticking around, go check out our individual shows where we each work very hard on them. You can find me on the Xbox Expansion Pass, all your podcast services, and at Insipid Ghost on Twitter. Mr. Bowden?
Yep, my mains. I'm easy to find. Just look up Season Gaming, and we do our weekly gaming show, all things gaming show, every Sunday mornings, the Big Cast. I'd love if you check that out. That's about it. Joseph.
Yeah, man, and you can find me over at the Trophy Room, a PlayStation podcast over on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and the video version on YouTube. You can find me at Mr. Badbit and the show at PS Trophy Room. There you go.
You're up.
Oh, right, and keep casting that co-op. Luke sucks.
PlayStation's dead.
Oh, God.